we go. So today I'd like to talk a little bit about acceptance from the perspective of it being a crucial attitude to adopt and to cultivate as we practice mindfulness. In his book, Full Catastrophe Living, Jon Kabat-Zinn says, the way of mindfulness is to accept ourselves right now as we are. Symptoms or no symptoms, pain or no pain, fear or no fear. In the course of our daily lives, we often waste a lot of energy denying and resisting what is already fact. And when we do that, we are basically trying to force situations to be the way we would like them to be, which only makes for more tension. And it actually prevents positive change from occurring in many cases. Acceptance sets the stage for acting appropriately in your life, no matter what is happening. Kabat-Zinn goes on, acceptance is not passive resignation. It is an awareness that provides clarity, equanimity, and a sense of orientation, which then allows us to take appropriate action. In 1942, Viktor Frankl, along with his wife and parents, was deported to the Nazi concentration camps. He endured really unimaginable suffering, including starvation, forced labor, and for him, the murder of nearly all of his family. Despite this, Frankl observed a profound truth. Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. In the camps, Frankl noticed that some prisoners who appeared physically stronger would collapse, while others with seemingly little strength would survive. He realized that survival often depends not just on the body, but on the spirit, particularly the ability to find meaning in suffering. Rather than resigning himself to bitterness or despair, Frankl accepted his suffering, not as a good or justified suffering, but as real. And he stopped asking, why is this happening to me? And instead he asked, what is life asking of me in this moment? This shift, this radical act of acceptance allowed him to respond to his circumstances with a sense of dignity, courage, and compassion even. He comforted other prisoners, supported them in their suffering. And while he was there, he visualized giving lectures that he would one day do at a university or at a treatment center. He imagined seeing his wife again. And though he could not control his external reality, he accepted it as it was. And within that kind of acceptance, he discovered a real freedom. So, not so much, why is this happening to me? Instead, what is life asking of me in this moment? Frankl survived the torture of the concentration camps. He returned to Austria and went on to become a neurologist, a psychologist, and a philosopher. He founded what was later called logotherapy, a school of psychotherapy that describes a search for life's meaning as the central human motivational force. Search for meaning in life. Frankl lived to 92 years old. He published 39 books. Perhaps his most popular book was called Man's Search for Meaning, which became a bestseller. And it was based on his experiences in various Nazi concentration camps. So perhaps Frankl's story is a good reminder that acceptance is not passivity, it's a willingness to face reality as it is and then respond with presence and purpose. Frankl once wrote, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. When we're no longer or able to change a situation, we're challenged to change ourselves. I think in mindfulness practice, in many ways, we're doing the same. We sit with what is pleasant or painful, not to endorse it, but to learn to meet it. And from there, we can act with intention and not reactivity. In Buddhism, they say that anytime we have a hardship, a disappointment, an injury, a diagnosis, two arrows fly. The first arrow is the actual painful event. The second arrow represents our reaction to the painful event. The first arrow presents us with pain as the result of an actual event happening, and we have no real choice in the matter. You did already lose your job. You are divorced. You do have cancer, or whatever it is. And the second arrow gives us the complete and total freedom to work with and meet whatever is happening or has happened. And that may not always seem available to us, always possible, but it is. We have complete and total freedom to work with whatever's happening, as awful, as challenging, as misunderstood as it is. And we can choose to respond to the events of our life. First, there is pain or the event, and then there is suffering, which is my reaction to the event. Pain being the very real experience, but the suffering being how I interpret that, what I do with that, my reaction to it. So the first is often necessary. Things happen in our life. And the second is always our option. The place to work is the second arrow much of the time. So as we sit here together today, we might just sit with that kind of awareness, what we generally call non-judgmental awareness, by simply noticing what arises, whether it be pleasant or unpleasant. And can we greet it the way Frankl did, not with resistance, but with curiosity, with courage, with care? As Frankl said, what is life asking of me in this moment? It's only with that calm, curious equanimity that we can even consider that question. What is life asking of me in this moment? So let's practice together. Establishing yourself now in a reasonably comfortable position, whether it be sitting or standing or lying down, and just allowing the body to settle. And having a sense of being rooted, particularly in the low part of the body or the back of the body if you're lying down, and then arising up through the upper part of the body. So being upright but not uptight, just relaxed, or to whatever degree you might feel relaxed. And feel the floor, feel the chair, feel the earth beneath you with a sense of groundedness, as well as a sense of rising up to the sky. And becoming aware of the senses and using the senses to tune in, to notice, to feel the physical sensation of your posture in real time, sensing your balance, weight distribution, contact points. And if it's okay for you to do so, you can let the eyes close or just lower your gaze down so there's a softening in the eyes. And turning the attention now to your breath. Just noticing the breath. You don't need to manipulate it, force anything, wrestle with it. Just notice if it's short and shallow or long and fluid. And let your attention come to rest here. And if your mind wanders, really when your mind wanders, gently return it to the breath over and over without judgment. And if worry shows up, then just nod to worry and come back to the breath. If catastrophe presents itself, notice catastrophe as best you can with a calmness and with a sense of acceptance, and return to the breath. If joy is present or peace is present, just noticing that without getting pulled into it or struggling to hold on to it, and come back to the breath. This is a radical act, what we're doing right now, to be present in this moment as it is, with acceptance, without first needing it to be something else before we decide to be all in. And that takes practice. And allowing this stillness and this silence, or relative stillness and silence, to surround you in this moment, to support you, to hold you in your pain, in your worry, in your fatigue or stress, and in your delight and your peacefulness. And when you get carried off into whatever it is that's presenting, that just recognizing that you've been carried off and simply come back to this breath in this moment. And there's a time and place to do something about what you're noticing, to act on that. But for now, we're practicing this non-doing, this simple present moment awareness that is also non-judgmental, not needing to figure it out, work up a plan, jump into action, just for this time that we're practicing together. And notice where the mind is. And if it's traveled into the future or the past, just gently invite it back to this moment. It's essential for us for a sense of self, a sense of, as Frankl said, meaning in life, that we practice being present to our life as it really is. Both feet in. And this is what we mean by living an intentional life, a deep spiritual life, a life of meaning that we're all in, not because everything's perfect, but that we choose to be present. Here's a poem by Robert Frost. When the spent sun throws its rays on cloud and goes down, burning into the gulf below, no voice in nature is heard to cry aloud at what has happened. Birds at least must know it is the change to darkness in the sky. Murmuring something quiet in her breast, one bird begins to close a faded eye. Or, overtaken too far from his nest, hurrying low above the grove, some waif swoops just in time to his remembered tree. At most, he thinks, or twitters softly, safe. Now let the night be dark for all of me. Let the night be too dark for me to see into the future. Let what will be, be. So we have 5 minutes for any comments or questions or great insights or anything like that. You could just unmute yourself or wave a hand or put something in the chat, whatever you want to do or not. And we turn off the recording actually.